On a quiet evening street, people hurried past without looking. But in the shadows, there stood an old alien woman, weak and lost. Her clothes were torn, her steps slow, and her strange eyes seemed filled with centuries of pain. Everyone ignored her. Everyone walked away. Except for one human teen. He stopped. He looked closer. Something about her didn't feel normal. Her hands trembled, but when she touched the boy's arm, a glowing symbol appeared for just a moment. And then, with a weak voice, she whispered words that froze him in place. "You are the first human to truly see me. And because of that, everything is about to change." The evening was quiet, and the street was almost empty. Ethan, a 16-year-old boy, walked slowly with his school bag hanging from one shoulder. The lamps on the road gave off a weak yellow light, and shadows stretched long on the ground. He liked walking home this way because it gave him time to think. But on this night something unusual caught his attention. Near the corner of the street stood a figure that did not look like anyone else around. It was an old woman, small and bent, her steps shaky as if she was lost. Her clothes were strange, not like human fabric, but soft silver material that shimmered faintly under the light. Her face was lined with age, and her eyes looked tired, yet they carried something ancient within them. Ethan slowed his steps. People passed her by without a glance, as if she was invisible. No one cared to stop. Ethan felt a tug in his chest. She looked helpless, almost like a grandmother left alone in a busy city. But there was something different. Her skin had a faint tone that was not human, almost like pale silver touched with blue. She seemed fragile, but there was also a mystery about her. Ethan thought about walking on like everyone else, but his feet would not move. He took a careful step toward her. "Are you all right?" he asked softly. His voice carried more concern than he expected. The woman lifted her head slowly, and for the first time, Ethan saw her eyes clearly. They glowed faintly, not bright, but with a soft light that pulsed as if alive. She studied him in silence before answering in broken words. "You see me?" she asked, her voice weak but sharp in meaning. Ethan blinked in surprise. Of course he saw her. She was standing right there, but the way she said it made him pause. "Yes, I see you," he said. "Do you need help? Are you lost?" The woman's thin lips curved into the smallest smile, almost sad. "You are." "First," she whispered. Ethan frowned, not sure what she meant, but his heart beat faster. He offered her his bottle of water. "Here, drink this. You don't look well." Her hands trembled as she reached for it. When her fingers touched his, a sudden warmth spread across his skin. Ethan gasped quietly. A faint symbol appeared on the back of her hand, glowing for just a moment before fading. It looked like a star with lines circling it, something he had only seen once before in an old map his father kept in their attic. Ethan's eyes widened, but he said nothing. The woman drank slowly, then looked at him again. "The skies," she murmured. "Do humans still guard the skies?" Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. What kind of question was that? She spoke as if she was from another world. He looked around nervously, hoping no one else had heard her strange words. "Who are you?" he asked carefully. She shook her head, her silver hair falling over her face. "Too early," she whispered. "But soon. You will know." Ethan wanted to ask more, but the night grew colder and the wind picked up, carrying a strange hum. It was faint, almost like the sound of machines far above. He glanced at the sky but saw only clouds. Still, his stomach tightened. The woman noticed his reaction and gave him a tired look, as if she understood his worry. "Do not fear." "Yet," she said softly. Her voice was steady now, though weak. Ethan sighed and decided she could not stay out here alone. "Come on, let's sit down somewhere safe," he said. He gently helped her walk toward a bench under the streetlight. She leaned on him, her weight lighter than he expected, almost as if her body was not fully solid. As she sat, she closed her eyes for a moment, breathing slowly. Ethan watched her carefully, unsure of what to do. He felt he had stepped into something far larger than himself. A simple walk home had turned into a mystery he could not explain. The street was still quiet, but Ethan's mind was full of questions. Why was she here? Why did her hand glow with that strange symbol? And why did she speak as if she knew secrets about the skies? He did not notice that far above, Hidden behind the clouds, small lights moved silently, scanning the city below. The old alien woman opened her eyes again and looked at Ethan with deep sadness. "You are the first to see me," she repeated, her words heavy with meaning. "And because of that, everything will change." Ethan froze. His world, which had been normal only an hour ago, now felt like the start of something he could not yet understand. He did not know if he was ready, but he could not walk away. Something told him that his life had just taken a turn toward the unknown, and the old woman beside him was the key to it all. Ethan sat quietly on the bench beside the old alien woman, his heart still racing from her strange words. The city lights flickered in the distance, cars passed now and then, and yet it felt like the world around them had gone quiet. He kept sneaking glances at her, hoping she would explain more, but she simply closed her eyes and breathed slowly, as if every breath carried a heavy weight. He finally gathered courage. "Why did you say I'm the first to see you?" he asked softly. Everyone else walked past. "Why me?" Her eyes opened, glowing faintly again, as she tilted her head toward him. "Most do not see beyond what is in front of them. They see only an old body. They do not see the truth." Her words were simple, but carried something deeper that Ethan could not understand. He leaned forward, trying to make sense of it. "The symbol on your hand. I saw it. It looked familiar." The woman studied him carefully. "You know it?" Ethan nodded slowly. "I think I've seen it before. My father had an old star map in the attic. It had a mark just like that one. He never told me what it meant." At this, her expression shifted. The tired look in her eyes gave way to something sharper, almost alert. She whispered, "Then your family has carried memory of the skies. That is why you can see me." Ethan felt confused. He wanted to ask more, but her voice grew weaker again, and he worried she might collapse. He gently offered her another sip of water, and she accepted with a grateful nod. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Ethan's thoughts kept spinning. Who was she? Why did his father's map connect with her? And what did she mean about guarding the skies? Just then, a faint hum reached his ears again. He looked up, expecting to see a plane, but the sky showed nothing. The sound faded as quickly as it had come. Ethan frowned. He wondered if it was only in his imagination, but the woman's reaction told him otherwise. Her shoulders stiffened, and her hand clutched the edge of the bench tightly. "They search," she whispered, almost to herself. Ethan turned to her. Who's searching?" She shook her head slowly. "Not yet. You are not ready to know. But they are near. Always near." Her words made his stomach twist with unease, but also with curiosity. She spoke like someone carrying secrets too big for the world around them. Ethan could feel that whatever she was hiding, it was not small, it was vast, maybe bigger than anything he had ever imagined. Trying to steady his thoughts, he asked, "Where do you come from?" Her gaze drifted to the dark sky, and for a moment she looked far away, as if seeing memories hidden in the stars. "From beyond," she said softly, "from a place where light bends and voices of worlds gather. Long ago, I walked among my people as one of them. But now," she lowered her eyes and sighed, "now I am only what you see." Ethan wanted to press her, to ask what she meant, but the sadness in her voice stopped him. She was not ready to share everything. He could feel that instead. He asked gently, "Do you have somewhere to go?" "A home." She gave him a faint smile, but it was a smile filled with sorrow. "Home was taken. My steps wander now." The words sank into Ethan's heart. He imagined being old, alone, and far from home, with no one willing to help. The thought made his chest ache. "Then stay here, at least for tonight," he said quickly. "You shouldn't be outside all alone. I'll help you." For the first time, her eyes softened, and her hand rested lightly on his arm. "Kindness is rare. You do not know what it means, but soon you will." Her touch was warm again, and the faint symbol flickered on her skin before fading. Ethan stared at it, realizing it was not an accident. It was part of who she was, something important. The night grew deeper, and the street around them grew empty. Ethan looked at her carefully. She seemed both fragile and powerful at the same time, like a secret wrapped in weakness. Something told him he was standing at the edge of a story much larger than his own. He thought of going home, but the idea of leaving her here felt wrong. He could not walk away now, not after everything he had seen. He knew that helping her might bring trouble, but at the same time, it felt like his only choice. The old alien woman looked at him again, her glowing eyes steady now. "You wonder who I am," she said softly. "Soon you will know. But before that, you must be ready to see what others cannot." Ethan shivered, though the night air was calm. He realized that this meeting was not by chance. The feeling inside him told him that his life had just begun to move toward something extraordinary, and the fragile woman beside him was the key. The hum in the sky returned, louder this time, and both of them looked upward. Still no lights, still no shapes, but the sound carried weight. Ethan's heart pounded. The woman closed her eyes and whispered again, "They are searching," and in that moment, Ethan understood one thing with complete certainty: whatever was coming, his world would never be the same again. Ethan stayed on the bench long after most people had gone home, the street now almost silent. The old alien woman sat beside him, her hands folded in her lap, her eyes closed as though she were resting. Yet, even in her quietness, there was something about her that made the night feel strange, almost heavier than before. He wanted to go home, but something inside told him he could not leave her here. She looked fragile, almost too weak to move, and yet the memory of the glowing symbol on her skin kept circling in his mind. No ordinary old lady carried something like that. No ordinary stranger spoke about the skies in such a way. At last, Ethan spoke softly. "I don't even know your name." The woman opened her eyes slowly, the faint glow returning for a moment. "Names are heavy," she said after a pause. "What I was called before no longer belongs to me. For now, you may call me Mira." "Mira," Ethan repeated, testing the sound of it. The name felt both strange and familiar at the same time. "Why did you say they're searching for you? Who are they?" Her gaze drifted toward the dark sky again, her eyes reflecting the distant lights of the city. She did not answer directly. Instead, she whispered, "Long ago, I walked among stars where voices sang in harmony. But then the song was broken. I lost more than I can speak of tonight." Ethan leaned closer, his curiosity burning. "Were you important there?" She gave a soft, almost bitter laugh. "Important, perhaps. Or perhaps only a piece that could be replaced. But some still search. Some search to find me, and some search to end me. And tonight, their eyes are closer than you think." The words made Ethan's stomach twist. He turned his head, scanning the quiet street. Everything looked normal, yet the low hum he had heard earlier echoed faintly in his memory. He felt both safe and unsafe at once. Mira's hand trembled as she placed it over her chest. Ethan noticed again how light she seemed, how her strength faded as if each moment weighed on her body. "You should not be near me," she murmured. "It will bring you trouble." Ethan shook his head quickly. "I can't just leave you. Nobody else even looked at you." "I did, and now I can't walk away." His words came out firm, even though he didn't know what kind of danger he was stepping into for a moment. Her expression softened, almost like a grandmother seeing her grandchild's bravery. But there was also sorrow in her eyes. "You are too young to carry this," she whispered. "I don't care," Ethan replied. "You need help. That's enough." The silence between them grew, filled only by the sound of the wind brushing through the trees. Mira finally closed her eyes and leaned back against the bench, as if the weight of her story pressed too heavily on her shoulders. Minutes passed, and then her voice came again, softer now. "Once I was not like this. Once I stood tall, and many looked to me for guidance. But betrayal came, and I was left wandering. I hid myself, covered my light, and let the galaxy forget me. It was easier than being hunted, easier than fighting." Ethan's breath caught in his throat. The words sounded like fragments of a life far beyond Earth. She was not only an alien, she had been someone powerful, someone who once held respect and authority. Yet now, here she was, sitting like a forgotten shadow on a human street. He looked at her silver hair, her lined face, the glow in her eyes, and he realized there was more to her story than she was saying. She was protecting something, maybe even protecting him. "Mira," he asked carefully, "why me? Why let me see you when nobody else can?" Her eyes opened again, sharp and steady now. "Because you are not blind," she said simply. "Your heart is still open. That is rare," Ethan felt his cheeks warm. He didn't think of himself as special. He was just an ordinary boy, trying to get through school, trying to live quietly. But the way she looked at him made him feel as though something larger was waiting for him. Something that had chosen him without his permission. The hum returned again, louder than before. This time Ethan could feel it in the ground beneath his feet, like a vibration passing through the earth. His eyes darted upward, but the clouds kept the sky hidden. Mira's head lifted, her expression tense. "They are closer," she whispered. "Too close." Ethan's pulse quickened. "Who? What are they?" Her voice dropped to almost a breath. "Those who fear what I once was. They cannot let me rise again." He swallowed hard. Her words only added to the mystery, yet he understood one thing clearly: she was not safe here. And if she wasn't safe, neither was he still. He could not walk away. Something bound him to her now, as if fate itself had drawn them together. Mira looked at him with quiet intensity. "Ethan, listen carefully. Soon you will see what others cannot. And when that moment comes, you must decide. Stay small in your world, or step into mine." Her words hung in the night air, heavy and unshakable. Ethan stared at her, his mind spinning, his heart pounding. He knew nothing would ever be normal again, and above them, hidden in the clouds, the faint lights of strange ships moved silently, circling, waiting. The night deepened, and the air felt heavier, as though the city itself was holding its breath. Ethan sat beside Mira, watching her closely. She looked weak, her body fragile like glass that could shatter at any moment. And yet, every word she spoke carried a weight that filled him with both curiosity and unease. The hum from above returned, louder now, pulsing like a rhythm in the sky. Ethan pressed his palms to the bench, feeling the faint vibration in the wood beneath him. He looked up, but the thick clouds still hid whatever was moving above them. Mira opened her eyes slowly, and this time there was no softness in her gaze. Her eyes glowed brighter, no longer faint but alive with a strange, steady light. "They draw nearer," she whispered. "We cannot stay here." Ethan stood quickly, nervous energy rushing through him. "Then let's move. I can take you to my house. It's not far." She shook her head slowly. "Your home would not be safe. If they find me, they will find you too." Her words sent a shiver through him. He looked down the street, quiet, empty, ordinary, but he couldn't shake the feeling that unseen eyes were watching. Suddenly, a faint blue shimmer passed across the ground in front of them, like a ripple of light. Ethan gasped and stepped back. It was gone as quickly as it appeared, but Mira's expression hardened. "They search with machines," she said calmly, though her voice carried urgency. "They test the air for my presence. Their eyes cannot find me unless I shine. But the closer they come, the harder it is to hide." Ethan's thoughts raced. Machines, searching for her. None of it made sense, but the fear in his chest told him it was real. Mira slowly rose from the bench. Her body shook, her shoulders bent, but there was a quiet dignity in the way she stood. Ethan reached out to steady her, but before he could touch her, a sudden pulse of light appeared in the air, a hovering drone. Round and silent, drifting down from the dark sky, Ethan froze. His breath caught in his throat. The drone's surface shimmered, scanning in beams of pale light that swept across the street. When the beam touched Mira, she stiffened. "Stay behind me," she said firmly. Ethan blinked in surprise. "But what can you—" He stopped, because in that instant, Mira changed. Her frail frame straightened. Her weak shoulders lifted, and her presence seemed to grow. The glow in her eyes intensified, and faint lines of light traced across her skin, forming symbols like the one Ethan had seen before. She raised one trembling hand, and to Ethan's shock, the air around her shimmered like water disturbed by wind. The drone's beam bent away, as though hitting an invisible shield. Sparks of light danced in the air, then faded. Ethan stared, his mouth open. This was no helpless old woman. She was something else entirely. Mira lowered her hand slowly, her chest rising and falling with effort. The glow faded back into her skin, leaving only the tired, bent figure once again. But Ethan had seen it. He knew the truth now. You're not just someone lost," he whispered, his voice trembling. "You're powerful." She sank back onto the bench, her body weak again, her voice softer. "Power does not make one safe. Power makes one hunted." Ethan sat beside her quickly. Then who are you, really? She looked at him, her eyes tired but filled with honesty now. I was once a queen, she said quietly. Not of one city, not of one world, but of many. My voice guided stars. My word carried weight across galaxies. But those I trusted most turned against me. They feared my rule. They feared my light. And so I was cast down, left to wander unseen. Ethan's heart pounded. The words felt unreal, too grand for his simple life. Yet the truth was clear in her tone. He was sitting next to someone who had once been a queen among the stars. But why here? Why Earth? He asked. She gave a small, sad smile. Because Earth is forgotten by most, hidden, a quiet corner of the galaxy. It was the one place I could hide, unseen. Until now, Ethan thought of the drone, of the strange hum above, of the machines searching for her. But they've found you, he said softly. Mira nodded. Yes, and now you are part of this, Ethan. You chose to see me when others would not. That choice binds you to what comes next. Ethan swallowed hard. He hadn't asked for this, hadn't wanted to be part of something so big. And yet, deep inside, he knew he would not walk away. He couldn't. The hum in the sky grew louder again. More drones moving unseen in the clouds. Mira closed her eyes, gathering what little strength she had left. You must decide, she whispered, to walk away now and forget me, or to stand with me, even if the stars themselves turn their gaze upon us. Ethan looked at her glowing eyes, at her frail body hiding a queen's past, and he realized his life had changed forever. There was no turning back. The boy's thoughts raced as he followed the alien grandmother through the quiet streets, every step heavier with questions he dared not ask yet. Her frail figure moved slowly, but there was something about her walk that did not match the weakness she showed before. It was as if she was carrying a secret weight, one that stretched far beyond time. The glow that had once sparked on his arm still lingered in his memory, like a mark that no one else could see. They reached a hidden place. A small garden tucked behind ruined walls where strange plants bloomed under the moonlight. The flowers were unlike anything he had seen before, soft, glowing petals that moved as though they breathed. The old woman sat carefully on a stone, her eyes reflecting the light of those flowers. She seemed tired, yet her gaze was calm, as if she had finally reached a safe corner in a world that no longer welcomed her. The boy wanted to speak, to ask who she really was. But she raised her hand gently, stopping him. Her voice was soft but carried strength, patience. Child, you see only what others failed to see. But what you will learn tonight is not just about me. It is also about you. Her words sent a shiver down his spine. Him, what did she mean? He was just a normal human, just a teen who happened to care when others didn't. But as the silence stretched, he realized this was no ordinary night. The garden around them began to shimmer faintly, the flowers light bending and forming shapes in the air, shapes of stars, ships, and worlds far beyond his imagination. The boy's eyes widened. The images were alive, like memories unfolding in front of him. He saw her younger, strong and proud, surrounded by figures who seemed to follow her every command. A crown of light rested on her head, and the stars themselves bent as though they recognized her presence. She had been no lost old woman, she had been something greater. But before he could speak, the images shifted. He saw darkness falling on her world, betrayal hidden in shadows, and her people scattering like broken pieces of glass. Her crown of light faded, and she was left wandering across galaxies, a queen without a throne, a leader without her people. The boy felt his chest tighten. This was not just a story. It was her life, her truth, and somehow, he had been chosen to see it. When the images faded, she looked at him again, her voice trembling yet steady. Do you understand now why I was left unseen? Why no one dares to look too closely? They fear what they do not know. But you did not turn away. That is why you are here. The boy could only nod, his words caught in his throat. The weight of what he had witnessed pressed down on him. But there was also a strange spark inside him, a feeling that this meeting was not by chance. The old woman leaned closer, her eyes now sharp and knowing. What I once lost cannot be reclaimed alone. My time grows thin, but your path is only beginning. Will you walk it with me, even if it changes everything you thought you knew? His heart raced. The garden seemed to hold its breath, waiting for his answer. For the first time, he realized this was not just about kindness, not just about helping someone in need. This was about destiny, about stepping into something far larger than himself, and deep inside. Though he feared the unknown, he knew he could not step back now. The night air felt heavy, as though the stars themselves leaned closer to listen. The boy stood before the old alien grandmother, his heart beating fast, his mind still caught between disbelief and wonder. He had seen her past in those shimmering lights, seen the truth that no one else had cared to notice. She was no weak stranger left behind in the crowd. She had once been a queen, her voice commanding whole worlds. And now she was asking him, a simple human teen, to walk beside her. For a long moment, he said nothing. His thoughts chased each other like restless waves. Why him, of all people? He was young, unnoticed, almost invisible in his own world. Yet here was someone greater than he could imagine, someone who saw worth in him that he had never seen in himself. Slowly, he nodded, not because he understood everything, but because he felt something deep in his chest telling him that this choice mattered. The old woman's tired eyes softened with relief. "Then you are ready," she whispered, her words carrying a power far larger than the garden they stood in. The flowers brightened, glowing as though they celebrated his answer. The air shimmered, and for a brief second, he thought he could hear distant voices, soft, singing voices that belonged to no humans. She reached out and touched his hand, and once more the symbol appeared on his skin, brighter now, its shape clearer. It was not random at all. It was a crest, an ancient mark of her people. It tied them together, as if declaring him not an outsider, but chosen. The boy stared at it in awe. "What does this mean?" he asked quietly. Her voice was calm, yet filled with emotion. "It means you are the first to carry the hope of my people again. I may never return to the throne that was taken from me, but through you my legacy will not vanish. You are not simply helping an old woman, you are holding the last light of a fallen crown." The words sank into him slowly, and with them came both fear and courage. He had never dreamed his life could touch the stars, but now the stars seemed to reach for him. He thought of how everyone else had ignored her, walking past without care. If he had done the same, this truth would have died with her. And somehow, that thought gave him strength. The old queen closed her eyes for a moment, as if listening to something far away. When she spoke again, her voice was softer, almost like a farewell. "I am not afraid anymore. The universe has taken much from me, but it has given me this moment, and it has given me you." Her figure seemed even smaller now, as though the weight she had carried for centuries was finally leaving her shoulders. The boy held her hand tighter, not wanting to let go. A deep silence filled the garden, broken only by the quiet rustle of glowing petals. At last, she looked at him one final time, her eyes shining with both sorrow and peace. "Remember this night," she said. "When others turn away, you must look closer. You must see what they cannot. That is how you will change everything." The boy felt the words settle into his heart like seeds waiting to grow. He did not know what paths lay ahead, but he knew he would not walk them the same way he had before. He was no longer just a teen who cared enough to stop. He was now part of a story older and larger than himself. And as the garden lights dimmed, as the stars above shone brighter than ever, he understood one truth with absolute clarity. Sometimes the most important journeys begin not with power or pride, but with a simple choice to notice someone everyone else ignored.